to anybody who is here. We are the Minnesota Spirit Hunters, and we're here to just communicate. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
How's it going? Well, we have a great show. We have a great show for you guys tonight. We have an amazing panel, and our guest tonight is Scott Morton, aka Mr. Fedora. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Scott is returning for the first time since season 2. And he is the founder of Warren Area Society of Paranormal. And tonight we're going to go a little bit into how he started the team, why he started the team, and a little bit about each investigation of his. So, Scott, we're going to start with how did you get started, or tell us a little bit about WASP.
Well, we're located in northwestern Pennsylvania. Warren, PA is our primary area, though, of course, like many teams, we travel a little bit.
Yeah.
We have a very diverse group of all kinds of backgrounds, and from general laborers to ordained priests to, forgive me, I don't believe she likes to be referred to as Wiccan, but practices such things. So, a very diverse, down-to-earth group.
Okay. Awesome. And how long have you had WASP going now?
We are working on our 12th year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know this is quite a stretch a little bit, but why don't you take us back to the beginning when you first started investigating? What made you want to investigate? That very first time that you went out investigating, what made you say, I'm going to go do a paranormal investigation?
You might have heard the story before. Maybe
Possibly.
not. But it started off as a joke, in all honesty.
Okay.
Me and co-founder Lee, which everybody refers to as Lee Foot.
Lee Foot.
You good? So anyways, we were working with each other at a local food processing plant where one of the jobs that we had were called pepper poppers. And back then, ghost hunters were just coming out on TV, and they always would say, plumbers by day, ghost hunters by night at the start of their show. So we were joking with each other saying, well, we're pepper poppers during the day and ghost hunters at night, and just kind of ha. And then we came up with a name totally different than WASP. We came up with Waha, which was
all right, we need an explanation.
It's catchy, and so we'll get to that. Well, Waha stands for, because we said every good ghost hunter needs a ghost hunting team.
Yes.
Name. So Waha was Warren Area Haunting Association. And we thought that was catchy, and people would remember that, and we would say, who you gonna call? Waha. And we would greet each other instead of hello, we'd say Waha. And people around us started asking, what the hell is that? At first we were like, oh, nothing, inside joke, haha. And finally people were not taking that as an answer anymore. They're like, no, seriously, what's that about? So we started explaining, and people were like, well, why don't you do that? Why don't you start up a group? And after a while, we're like, yeah, why don't we? So we reached out to Angel, and we met up, and basically from that point, we decided to start up a group. We met at our local Burger King, which we still pick on them and say, hey, we should get free food for starting up such a famous group, but they don't agree.
Right.
And And so from there, we just kind of met up and said, well, let's give this a 3-month probation period and see where we go from there. In 3 months, if we don't like it or this isn't for us, we'll split ways, all good. Well, you guys can see the outcomes, and we've been here all these years, so we didn't give it up. Now, as far as the first investigation was pretty interesting. Unfortunately, it was a small apartment, so the rest of the whole group wasn't able to go. About half the group was able to go to the first one. And
wow.
It ended pretty quick. I'd say the group was there about 45 minutes, setting up equipment and such. They're sitting down speaking to the client as Lee was speaking to her, and Angel, I believe, was speaking to her. I unfortunately wasn't there, but but so they're sitting there as the rest group was setting up the cameras and such, and the client was starting to complain about her back hurting, feeling like it was on fire and such. And so after a couple minutes, and mind you, she was in front of the team the whole time since they got there, and she had been sitting down for a good 10 minutes or so in front of them as they were talking to her, asking questions and such. And after a couple minutes, she said, well, I can't stand this any longer. Will you look? And so the group helped her lift up her shirt so she remained decent, you know. And next thing you know, they seen 3 fresh scratch marks down her back.
Oh, wow.
Well, actually, it was 3 sets of 3 forming in front of them, getting deeper red, darker red, and welting up. We got pictures somewhere on the site way back from the beginning of the Facebook page. If you did a little digging, you'd see them. So at that point, they decided that seemed a little too close to mocking the Holy Trinity. We got our minister in there to deal with it as opposed to investigate.
Absolutely.
And we run into this person throughout the years and never had a problem since that night. So that was our first case.
Awesome. Well, might I just say, everybody, never let anything stop you from starting a paranormal team. Scott started his paranormal team based around a Whopper from Burger King.
Well, not based on the Whopper. It's a Whopper of the story, but
that takes out all the fun, man.
It was around knowing me, original chicken sandwich, knowing Lee, probably the Whopper, and Angel, probably a chicken sandwich.
So how big is your team if you have to split people up to go on different investigations?
At that time, it wasn't so much of a big team. There was about, I believe there was 6 of us roughly, but it was a really, really small apartment. And they had 4 or 5 people living there as well. So it was just kind of one of those things. Currently, we're at 8 members.
Okay.
So, but that particular time, it was just, we would have been tripping over each other and such. So it was best just to break up. The other half of us went on a little adventure ourselves up by a place called Kinzu Dam. And famous dam, actually. Johnny Cash wrote a song about it.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you guys know Johnny Cash at all.
Absolutely.
The song, well, I don't like to assume. The song is, the title of it is As Long as the Grass Shall Grow.
I've heard it, yep.
That's the dam it's based on, Lake Perfidy and all that. And so there's a lot of lore about UFOs and Bigfoots and such up that way. So the rest of us went and did our own little thing. Well, they got to do their little thing. And
right. You're done. Sorry, guys.
Little ones are always fun.
Yeah, she wanted to be part of the show. And speaking of the panel, and I believe we introduced everybody right over here. This is Kara. I guess you're our co-host tonight until Brandon gets here, right?
Yeah.
Might I say you look super tired right now?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a little tired, but that's okay.
Or is it the sun in your eyes?
Probably both.
Well, just go get a Whopper from Burger King. You'll be good.
You never know what you might start up.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. And right down here, as always, this is our medium Rochelle on the team. Welcome to the show, Rochelle.
Thank you.
So I don't remember if you guys were on the show last time when we had Scott on, but it's always a really fun time with you, Scott. Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
And I know that you're a firm and huge believer in the Halloween season, especially with paranormal investigations. Now,
And I also, a lot of people don't realize this, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
no, go right ahead.
People that are kind of close to me kind of know, but I'm also a founder of a nonprofit group that does a lot of charitable events around Halloween and such.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
Wow.
we do all kinds of things. Me and my co-founder Steph, we ranged anywhere from like in July we did a Christmas in July putt event where we dressed the grounds up for Christmas, and somebody was dressed for Santa in the middle of July. Yeah, that was pretty warm. Anyways, so we took the donations and collected toys for our local Salvation Army to get toys for their Christmas program. We'll be doing a zombie bar crawl coming up on the 22nd, where we'll collect non-perishable food for local
Zombie
food
bar
bank.
crawl?
Huh? A zombie bar crawl. Yeah, a zombie circus. So, yeah. So we do all kinds of things. So, yeah, as far as Halloween goes, yeah, firm believer in the holiday, and but
Stop it. I'm hosting the show, not you.
So you thought.
Right? I don't know if you guys saw it about a minute ago. She reaches over, leans in for a kiss, and then gives me a hug. And now she's crawling all over me like I'm a jungle gym.
Oh, yeah. That's because you're jungle dad.
Right? Exactly.
So,
and now she's gone. Anyway,
hopefully I didn't ruin your train of thought. You're saying about the Halloween season and paranormal.
Not at all. Not at all. I thought I would throw that in. It's a fun thing to talk about, especially around this time of year. I know here at Minnesota Spirit Hunters, we like to have fun near Halloween. We're going on our second year of doing a big trunk or treat that we do right here in Mora, Minnesota. And last year was the very first time that we ever threw this trunk or treat. And it was such a success. I tell you, we ran out of candy at least an hour and a half before closing time. It was awesome. You know, we promoted it everywhere. Marketing was awesome. And Rochelle was there, and she remembers, you know, how much of a success it was. We had cops bringing their kids and all of that. It was awesome. So we love Halloween over here.
Yeah, we're thinking like maybe 10, 20, 30 people, maybe top. Huge.
Yeah, exactly. That's, you know, the thing is, we had 3 cars to start with. We had Rochelle's car, my car, and then we had Rochelle. We had that one other. I don't remember who it was. But, okay. Yep. One of the team members that's not with us anymore. But we had her car there. And then another car joined because we were so busy. You know, we had to make a distraction to help us get caught up. It was so much of a success, and I can't wait to do our second one this year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, did you tie in the ghost hunting team with it, or?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Nice.
It
seems like this time of year, paranormal teams get a lot more recognition than any time of
absolutely.
year.
What we did is we took some business cards and we threw them in our buckets of candy. And you just grab some candy out of the bucket, and if you get a business card in with the candy, you drop that in their bag or their bucket or whatever, and boom, business card.
Nice.
So, and we had like merchandise displayed, all that kind of stuff, but putting a little twist to it this year, different winners, different prizes, different candy. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, if anybody in Minnesota is watching right now, that's on October 23rd at 4 p.m. in Mora. So feel free to bring your kids, bring yourself, have some fun. So, but we're not. What's that?
You got Jeff leaving comments down there.
Yeah, I saw that. By the way, let's all welcome Jeff to the show, to our audience here. Welcome, Jeff. He says, once the groundkeeper at the Bel Air house, if anyone of you heard of it. Oh, okay.
I believe I've heard of the Bel Air house.
What's that?
I believe I've heard of the place. I'm not 100% sure. You know, you. I'm sure you guys all are researched a lot of places.
Oh yeah. Oh, we have a lot of. You know, we found this amazing place just by researching. I told the team members to write down some of their most favorite or dream investigations and everything. And I was researching this place called Red Onion Inn. I think it was called. I don't remember the exact name of it. But then when I got the list of what everybody wanted to investigate, it was on Kara's list. Like the red onion something. You remember that, Kara?
I think so. We were looking up online at the same time and we got the same thing.
Yes. Red Onion Saloon is what it's called. So it's like a bar.
So, interesting name,
I'm in.
for sure.
It'd be a lot of fun to go to. It'd be awesome. But Scott, we want to turn the attention over to you tonight, give you some screen time here, and talk a little bit about WASP. So I'm going to give the other hunters a chance to ask you questions and everything. But first, I want to talk a little bit about a couple investigations and some other exciting things that you've been through. So first of all, I might butcher this name, but you had an investigation called Guernsey?
Yeah, you butchered it. I think you're trying to say Guernsey.
Guernsey. Okay. I thought so. I thought I would butcher that.
It took me a second. I'm like, Guernsey is a very interesting little cemetery. Guernsey Hollow in Prewsburg, New York. And that's kind of a little misleading because if you knew Prewsburg at all, it's a little town. But the cemetery is like good 10 miles away from it. So a little misleading. Anyways, it's this older Catholic cemetery that is surrounded by woods. It's really in the middle of nowhere. There is some homes around it, don't get me wrong, but it's on a dirt road up this little hill, and it's a pretty interesting place. Nice local hangout for all the local teens to party at.
Right.
But the most interesting thing of that place is one is nice because there's a lot of lore to the place, but that is the only place that I've seen two full body apparitions.
Wow.
Like as solid as you guys are. Well, okay. I don't like to say that they're 100% because, you know, there's always that slight possibility that they were real people, you know. I'm leaning towards 1%, but hey. So, and this was in the middle of July, during the day, bright daylight, sun. It was a Sunday, around 1 in the afternoon. We went with 2 cars. That was the first time we were going to be there, so we wanted to go during the day and kind of get a layout. That's a tip for those that are thinking about paranormal investigating or whatever. Go to the location that you're going to investigate if it's outdoors or whatever during the daytime. So that way you kind of see if there's any big holes or anything like that. You know, just be on the safe side. So anyways, we were there for that. We showed up in 2 cars, and now this place is surrounded by woods. And the cemetery itself is surrounded by a 5.5-foot wrought iron fence with, you know, the old Catholic type with the pointy tops.
Yeah.
And So there was one way up into it from the street, the dirt road, and there was a path that was very visible to go out through the back into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
No other entrance or exit. And so these people walked to the side where there's no exit, and they were wearing, looked like a nice dress shirt, dress pants. The guy was, and the woman was wearing a nice church type dress. So it looked like they might have just came from church, visiting family or whatever. And they went off to the side of the cemetery, and it was very, just slightly out of view. And we got up in there, and they were just gone.
Wow.
And this cemetery is not big. I'd say it's no bigger than a Walmart parking lot, if that. It might even be smaller than that. So the odds of them slipping past us is very slim. The odds of them jumping that fence is not zero, but that's very slim.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm at. Well, I hate to label it 100% apparitions, but when you put everything together, it's more towards that than otherwise.
Right.
So that's the first place I've seen real full out apparitions. Like,
that's
solid.
Awesome.
And not only that, the car I was in seeing it, the car that we weren't in, that I wasn't in, the other team members got out and said, hey, there's a couple people up there, watch where you're taking pictures so we're not being disrespectful. So they seen it as well.
Wow. Very interesting. Sounds like a great place. And you said that was in New York?
Shrewsbury, New York. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds very interesting. Absolutely. And it would be a great cemetery to investigate. And it's awesome that you got 2 full body operations in the same investigation.
And the one thing is, I wish that would have been the one time where you were willing to be disrespectful to take pictures.
Yep, exactly.
But now a even more interesting cemetery on the outskirts of Jamestown, New York, is even smaller than that. It's like really small. Hollenbeck Cemetery. It's no bigger than somebody's front yard. It's real small and primarily full of children graves.
Oh.
And I'd say maybe about 12, 14 graves in the whole thing. And it's right off the road. You could take about 15 steps up a little hill and you're right into it.
Wow.
Now, here's a little warning to those. I still get smacked in the back of the head from my better half for this one. We were, the cemetery is called Hollenbeck, and you might as well say Jamestown, New York. You'll find it if you look it up. We were kind of bored. We had the equipment in the car, so we're like, well, hey, let's go check that place out. So we showed up, and it was kind of a little rainy. So we said, well, let's just sit in the car. We'll run the spirit box and such. We weren't really expecting much out of it.
Yeah.
And so I ran the spirit box on the car stereo. I used an FM transmitter hooked up to the mic of the speaker of the spirit box into the car radio.
Nice.
Yeah, you know, that's not the first time I've done something like that. That's a whole nother story. But anyways, so we're sitting in the car, we're getting some interaction. Our one past member was sitting in the back, and she said, well, it feels like something's playing with my hair and such. So we were having little interactions and such. Well, from there, we ended up there for about 10, 15 minutes. And we decided, you know, we said our prayers, said our goodbyes. And I was the driver, so I'm driving my better half's car away, and it feels like we have a flat tire. I don't know if you guys ever felt like having a flat tire before, but it feels different. So I drove up a little bit. My kid was in the car, and I was thinking, well, no time like the present to teach him how to change a tire if he doesn't know, you know. So I was like, all right, kid, come on out, and I'll talk you through switching the tire out or whatever if need be. So we get out, we look at all the tires, they're all fine. Now,
What?
for some reason, we didn't switch the spirit box off the car. That was still going for some reason. I don't know why. But anyways, so I'm talking to my kid, my son, and he's like, we're just kind of BSing, and we start hearing noises coming through the tree line, like maybe a decent sized animal was coming our way or something, you know. So I'm like, yeah, we better get in the car, and we're getting in, and it comes over the spirit box. Sit down now.
Oh wow!
We're like, what the heck? So after that, we were having troubles with her car. You know, we drove away from the cemetery, and the tire all of a sudden, we got about a half mile down the road, and all of a sudden the tire in the car felt fine. Well, after that, for like a month or so after that, her car stereo started acting all kinds of weird. Like it would turn itself up, it would change the station. We'd have it completely off. We'd get out the car to go in, get a bite to eat, come back out. It would be blaring. You know, we'd try to listen to what we want to listen to. It wouldn't play it. And so we took it to a garage to be looked at. And another thing, it was one of those old radios. I guess they're kind of older now. You pull off the faceplate for security reasons and put them in your purse or take them with you. Well, your car stereo ain't supposed to work when that's off. It would still work. It would still turn on and such. So she took it to a garage, and about 15, 20 minutes later, she gets a call saying, it's done, come pick it up. Well, she gets there, and they said, we can't figure out what the problem is. We don't know what it is. Just don't take the car back here again. We don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
So they were spooked out.
Wow.
We finally ended up getting the car blessed and never had a problem after that.
Wow.
So, yeah, she still smacks me in the back of the head for that one.
Jeez. That's crazy. Wow. So everybody, welcome Brandon to the show tonight. Our usual co-host. Thanks for joining us tonight, Brandon. We're here.
Sorry, I'm late. I'm picking up nephew from football practice.
Okay, no problem. So we're just in the middle of talking about one of Scott's investigations. And we
Sorry,
heard a little
so
bit about.
long-winded.
No, the floor is yours, man. It's your show. So, you guys have anything for Scott before we continue with the questions here?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
So obviously you've done like tons of billions of investigations.
No,
What was
not
your
really.
Okay. What was your most interesting one that you think?
Well, that one I just said was pretty interesting. There's several of them. There's some fun ones. Like, I said I did the FM transmitter before with Spirit Box. Our local mall out here, when it was a mall, allowed us to do investigations there when they were closed, when all the stores were closed for a charity event. Mm-hmm. And so I got the bright idea, because it is haunted, it still has activity and such. But I hooked up the Spirit Box to the whole PA system to run through the whole mall. Mm-hmm. Just for that white noise to build things up. Yeah, that got some excitement when I did that.
Oh, I imagine.
For the most part, we couldn't really get like a lot of interaction with it because we were nowhere near the box or anything. But that we turned it down just low enough.
The dogs are out. Shit, sorry.
You're good.
I gotta go for a second.
We turned it down just low enough where it could be just barely audible, and that was always fun. Talking about here.
Yeah, I've always heard that different frequencies can kind of like bring different like types through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they say white noise and brown noise and black noise. Yeah, I've heard that.
You know, I'm wondering. I'm wondering if that's why they put the white noise staticky stuff on the SB7 Spirit Box.
I think that's just a byproduct of it using stereo radio. It just, if you use it right, I think it's just an add bonus. But yeah, that was one of the more interesting things I did. Now, if you guys check out my YouTube channel, it's I like to call the titles that I use for the mall is the world's most haunted parking lot. Because that back parking lot of the mall, which we still go to from time to time, has all kinds of activity.
Right.
So that whole property is interesting.
Was that built on something or what?
It has a long history.
Was that built on something? Or you don't know.
It started off as farmland, where the farmer would get so drunk he would beat his field help, his workers. He'd beat them to the point where he was a great guy, I guess, when he was sober. So he would pay them extra money to knock him out and put him in bed when he was getting too drunk. So that was kind of the start of the property. And then from there, it went to the state hospital grounds, psychiatric hospital. And there's no documentation what they did there. And from there, it went to a refinery, like storage tanks and such. And we do get kids' spirits come across that stuff there. But anyways, there was the refinery was at the time where they could hire kids. And there was an orphanage right about a quarter-mile away that they would hire the kids. And there was a fire there that claimed the life of several of the kids. And so we believe they're still on the grounds. And from there, it went into the mall where one or two people have passed on through the years from sickness of one or the other. I'm not exactly sure how they passed away, but so yeah, there's a history of stuff on there. We've gotten kids' spirits come across on our equipment and such, like an EVP where I was asking how old you are, and I heard somebody come across saying 8 years old, or 8. And no, I used to be maintenance there, and that's how I got to know the management and such. And there used to be water fountains there, and the one fountain I would fill up, and I don't know, 200-gallon fountain. It was a decent sized fountain, and within an hour I'd go do some stuff, I'd come back and that fountain would be completely empty.
Really?
And there's like no signs of a leak. There wasn't water on the floor. The soil for the plants around it was dry. There was just no reasonable explanation when it would take about 3 hours for it to completely empty after you're emptying out yourself. So, yeah, that whole property has all kinds of odds and ends. And
that
then
sounds strange.
Go in the home. I cannot have that on.
Sorry, that's my phone buzzing.
All right, no problem.
Sorry, dogs. I seen them running in the yard outside their kennel, so I had to run and grab them.
It's all right. You're fine. So Scott, let's change the subject here a little bit because I found something very interesting, and I wanted to get a little into a little more detail with you. You had an audition for a possible TV show.
You found that one out. You were the one getting my YouTube views up.
Hey, I dig deep when I do research, buddy.
Yeah, those we reached out to a show. Nothing ever came of it. But yeah, we thought it would be interesting to go up to a little cemetery and just kind of joke around and be us. That was several years ago. It was a while ago now. It was me, Leefoot, Joel, and Ursula. Unfortunately, Ursula passed away a couple years ago. Aww. You guys would have loved her. She was a wonderful person. But yeah, nothing ever came of that show. And we get contacted from time to time, as I'm sure many teams do, through our
Yeah.
email. The one show we turned right down without too much thought. That's not me.
Brandon.
It looks like he's frozen down over there.
His phone's vibrating in the cup holder.
Oh, okay. That's a lot better.
Oh, and then I muted him. Whoops.
So the one show that we turned down pretty quick was back with that whole Naked and Afraid or Naked and Alone craze was going on, where they on the islands and such. There was a company that reached out and asked if we had any interest of being part of a paranormal investigation where everybody was naked. Ghost hunting in the new. We're like, yeah, no, that's okay. I put everything to the group,
all right,
as a vote, but
time out.
America should be happy that we said no.
Everybody turn your attention down below.
We say that, and you want to say that kind of comment?
Oh yeah, that's sick. Yeah.
I can only imagine that. I can only imagine turning on an investigation and seeing that. Like, no thanks.
Turn on Naked and Afraid, and then you're gonna have a paranormal investigation. So you got people naked. I wouldn't do that. I mean, God, you don't know what the hell you're gonna step on or what you're gonna trip over in there.
Right. Oh, that's what you're worried about.
You're right. That's what she's worried.
Freaking mosquitoes biting your no-nos and no thank you.
No-nos.
I don't know if I've ever heard them referred to that way. Stay away from the no-nos.
Where's Howard Petrie when we need him?
There's a stiff breeze blowing through. But
oh God, that's great.
But so we turned that down pretty quick. I bring everything to the group, and we decide pretty much as a whole, especially on things like that. And everybody was on the same page. Like, nah.
Are we, not to change subject, but are we going to ignore the fact that Brandon just went through the wormhole?
Yeah, you're the only one noticed. He's been there the whole time. What are you talking about?
Bullshit, he has. Oh boy. So yeah, but I thought that was very interesting. Now that I know there's a show out there, Naked Paranormal Investigating.
I don't know if it's ever came true. I never looked it up because I'm afraid of what I might find.
Right, exactly. So
did you watch that interview at all?
No.
Exactly, no.
Did you watch that at all?
Nope.
No, not the naked.
He doesn't know what you're talking about.
The little interview you found of ours. Did you watch that?
Oh, me?
Yes.
Briefly. I thought you were talking to Brandon.
No, he didn't say that he found it. You said you found our little.
My apologies. So I got a little bit through the interview, and I was at work when I wrote down the questions and everything. And so one of my clients had ended up getting up out of bed, and I had to put my research on pause, and I lost your interview, and I didn't have time to go back and look. But I watched it briefly. It's definitely something you guys need to check out. I believe Scott's YouTube channel is linked down below in the description here. So go check out all of this stuff that we're talking about. Scott, we're going to do one more question here. Then we're going to take a short intermission. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the P3 program and stuff.
Okay.
So, I don't know if any of you have saw this. Obviously, Scott, what's that?
I don't think she was speaking to you.
Oh, okay, moving on. But I don't know if any of you saw this, Scott. You're obviously gonna know what we're talking about here. But room 666. That one seems that one seems a little worthy to talk about.
More personal experiences than anything. That was kind of that that was a getaway for me and my better half stuff. We were just driving looking for something to do because, well, we hadn't been out to date or anything in a while. So we pulled up stuff online for places that were close to us, and we pulled up a haunted hotel in Niagara Falls, New York. The Haunted Radisson, I believe it's called. And so we went there, and we had no real hopes of trying to find any particular room. And we didn't tell them what we were there for, and that's the room we ended up in was 666. So
what a coincidence, right?
Right. For all the reasons why we were going there, we ended up in that. That was pretty neat. And
what was the outcome?
Personal experiences. There was, I think, some of the reasons why we didn't get as much on camera and such was the cameras and such we were using were like that was our first time using them. So a lot of user errors. We did get an EVP. It sounded like an older guy speaking. Our stuff, our equipment and such got knocked off the dresser and desk a couple times. And so little things like that. So for being a random room in the hotel, it wasn't even the room that was supposedly the most haunted. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like it. And it was just, like I said, a random trip. We pulled up something on YouTube, or not YouTube, but on the internet. And Travel Channel's been there and such. So we're like, if they've been there researching, we might. It sounds good to us.
Right.
And not only that, it was a great view of the river and, nice room. So it was a bonus all the way around.
Absolutely. That kind of reminds me of, by the way, we're in deep doo-doo because Raymond's got the link for the next show. So, yeah. Scott, you look good. Scott, you're good looking beast of a man.
I could look beastly or I can clean up pretty nice,
Thanks, girl.
I appreciate it. But yeah, if you guys are ever up on Grand Island, New York, go to the Radisson, and I hear most of the hotel has activity. Now the strangest thing was we went down, well, being the 600 room, we were on the 6th floor. I believe we went down to the 4th floor. For some reason, they had that completely shut down. Like all the lights were off and
right.
The doors were closed. So we opened up the door and kind of explored a little bit down that.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we were allowed to or not, but yeah, right. I was kind of, I don't know if it had paranormal activity, but it sure as hell was creepy.
Absolutely, yeah. That kind of reminds me, and this is probably not a paranormal attraction, but there's a Halloween attraction called, I think it's called 17 Door, the 17th Door or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Myself, no.
I don't know if that's exactly what it's called, but basically, what I'm getting at is it would be super cool to tour this, and you never know, you might be a coincidence that it could be haunted. But basically, what it is you go in. I think there's like 17 doors or something like that you have to make it through. You have a safe word, and you through each door it gets more scary, and if you make it all the way to the end, I think there's a prize at the end. But honestly, watch YouTube videos. I mean, I could easily make it through,
That's what you say, but when you're there in person, that's like the one chip challenge. I thought everybody was putting me on for that until I tried it.
I'll tell you something. Here in Minnesota, we have a haunted attraction called Dead End Hayride. You guys know what I'm talking about. But last year was the first ever time that I went to Dead End Hayride. I was so reluctant to go to this Dead End Hayride because in my mind, I'm like, I'm a ghost hunter. I got this. I'm good. I can handle this. I get there and we get in line. I'm like, I'm fucking shaking. I don't want to go in here. Look at all these fucking monsters, man. And, you know, then we get on the trailer with all the hay, because you sit on hay and you go through and have people jump out on you, whatnot. I was making friends with everybody. Honestly, they couldn't scare me because I would make friends with them before they could scare me. It was kind of cool.
Definitely. It sounds like you had a blast.
Oh, dead and
I
hay
do
riders.
know that Marcus does get scared, though. Just saying. The last cemetery we were at, Marcus, he kind of pulls me back. He goes, "You see that, right?"
Which one? Oh,
that little one we were just at.
All right.
He's like, "You see that, right?" I'm like, "It's fine, Marcus. I see them all the time." And you're like, "Are you sure?"
Well,
I'm like, "Yeah."
Well, see, at that cemetery, I had opened my ability up because I wanted to see what Rochelle was seeing, and I kind of just, put that wall down so I could work on my medium ability a little bit that night, and everything that Rochelle was seeing, I honestly was seeing with her. You know, without her even telling me where the spirits were, I pointed them right out to her, and it was really cool.
See, I'm like a rock. I need equipment.
And that's the thing, depending on which, right, depending on which investigation we're on and who we're with and all of that, I do like to work on my medium ability a little bit and kind of bring that out. But the worst part about that is, would you stop that? You're mean, you know that? But the worst part is that I hate knowing things about the investigation before I'm able to investigate. And if I'm just an investigator that night and I can't put those walls up to block those pictures and audio and all that kind of stuff coming through, I already know everything and the investigation is no good for me. So, there's certain times where I can't put that wall up. And that's one thing I need to talk to you about, Rochelle, is being able to put that wall up when you want to. So, but yeah.
I was told if you treat it like a light switch, visualize a big light switch in your head, and if you try to practice turning it on and off, that's a mental cue to help you turn it on and off. Just think of it like a big light switch. And the more, when you're ready to use it, flip it on. When you're ready to be done with it, flip it off. Might work for you, might not. And I'm sorry, I'm not you. So.
No, not at all. But the tips are surely great. It's the hat that brings it to a head. It's
in
the
Fedora. The head and the. But yes, Ursula.
Absolutely.
I heard Ursula say that a few times. That's where I learned that from.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a short intermission, guys, and when we come back, we'll give the hunters the floor here, and I'm going to step back, do a little moderation here, and then we're going to get into a little bit about the P3 program, because as well as myself, you are one of the runners of the United States Division. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and
I'm not running enough.
What's that?
I'm not running enough. Little.
Same. But all right, guys. Well, we will be right back. We're going to take a short intermission. Just want to remind everybody, check out the Global Ghost Hunt. It is a 2-part event in 2023. 10 days, 2 parts, full location support, full team support, all of that. So check out Global Ghost Hunt and enjoy our videos. We'll be right back.
Our defense is great.
We are back with Scott, Mr. Fedora, Morton. We were before the break. We were talking about. Rochelle is back with us. All right. So before the break, we were talking a little bit about Scott's investigations, a possible TV audition, all of that kind of stuff. And Scott, it's always a pleasure to talk about everything with you. That's why we love having you on the show so much. First of all, before I turn the floor over to Miss Rochelle over here. Yep. So before we turn the break, before we turn it over to Rochelle and then Cara and Brandon, I want to bring up the fact that you and Mr. Paranormal Consultant, Matt, you guys have been working closely together for quite some time. And
2 years now.
The work that you guys put into the paranormal field is beyond phenomenal. So you're Matt's mentor, correct? Or what do you do for Matt?
As little as possible.
We all do.
No, he would I think he would shine me the light as a mentor. I like to say that we are more along the lines of cohorts.
I'm sorry. Did you say cohorts?
Some nights. I mean, sometimes you really gotta grease the wheel a little more to get what you want.
Turn your attention back down below.
You have an awkward time saying that.
Yeah, he really does.
Awkward timing. But no, as far as where it go, he gives me more credit than I feel I deserve. I seen the potential of what he had or the capabilities that he had, and I kind of helped guide him, say, hey, these are things that I think will work well. And he took the advice and not just ran with it. He marathoned it. And so here we are now.
Well, if I can interrupt you for just a quick second, as far as Matt giving you more advice or more attention than you deserve, here's the thing. We all give Matt more attention than he deserves. Okay? So don't feel bad about it. No, I'm kidding.
Well, that's what helps us keep going, because I'm pretty sure I could speak for Matt and many people that does this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of doubt and a lot of second questioning, third questioning yourselves, and sometimes we need that little extra. Hey, I'm noticing you, and so. Right. So it goes a lot further than what people realize.
Absolutely. Well, my point here, Scott, is that no matter who gives you the attention and first of all, I'm going to start this by saying you deserve every bit of attention that you get in this field.
I appreciate that.
So does Matt. So does Cara. So does Brandon. So does Rochelle. Minnesota Spear Hunters is my team. I opened this team. Guess what? It's not my team. This is our team. We are a family. We're not a team. We're a family. And that's how I look at this. Even though you guys give me shit about my phone being dead all the time, still love you guys. But the point is that everything that you've done for the paranormal field, whether you feel like it's nothing or little to nothing, it's amazing. And I want to point that out, that you and Matt working together is a strong bond. It's a great collab. And the work that you guys put out is phenomenal. And I know you're probably not watching Matt right now, but if you catch the rerun, I mean every word of it.
So I'm not watching him. He's nowhere around. Oh, you meant that directly to Matt. Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna put this back onto Matt, because he said on Creepy Cryptids yesterday that I don't watch his show anymore. Where the hell are you, man? You don't watch my show.
There you go.
Right.
So, but anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I wanted to point that out.
Most of your shows are on while I'm in bed.
Right. Well,
especially you guys that are like on an earlier time. Right now, for you guys, it's 6 o'clock. For me, it's 7.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, absolutely. But I wanted to point that out. I wanted to make it known that you are appreciated. You're a big part of the P3 program, always will be. And even beyond the P3 program, it's the paranormal field alone. So if you feel unappreciated, just know that we appreciate everything you do. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to turn the floor over to Rochelle here. After Rochelle, Cara, and Brandon, you got the spotlight. Ask him, Scott, whatever you want to ask him. But Rochelle, floor is yours.
So Scott, you said you use only equipment. What is your favorite piece of equipment for one?
I tend to lean towards the Boo Buddy, the interactive teddy bear. I like that, because it can be used for just standalone investigator. Put it somewhere and let it just ask these questions, or you could be there and use it as a trigger object or such.
My second part of that was which piece of equipment do you get like the best responses off of? Is it the Boo Buddy as well?
The best, that's kind of a multi-layered question. For like live and such, Spirit Box almost every time, because you get people that are watching that hears it, and it kind of adds to the live feed a little bit. As far as like going back over stuff and personal use, I would just have to simply say typical voice recorders. You get so much more. And I've been using analog tape lately, cassette tapes lately. I found at Walmart, I found cassette recorders and such and blank tapes there. So if you guys are looking for that kind of stuff, check out your local Walmart. You might be able to find it. I seem to be finding more audio evidence with the tape than I am digital.
Cool. And my other question is, so everybody seems to have a blooper on their team. Do you guys have a blooper that stands out?
A couple. One got erased, and that's probably for my happiness. I was actually going through the video, and a storm hit the area, and flashed the power on and off multiple times within a minute. So it erased the whole hard drive of the DVR system. But I tripped down some stairs, and kind of like a goofy half fall, half catch, half this, half that. Everybody on the team loved it. Hey, John, that person is live behind me. Another time was, it seems to be me. I seem to get myself in trouble. I was going to bring this up. You're saying how Marcus gets scared pretty easy. We were doing a charity event where it was a local factory.
Not true.
That
sorry.
it was a local factory with all kinds of activity there. So we raffled off a chance to investigate to earn a couple dollars to go towards equipment and such. And while we were there, there was a group of about 6-7 people that wasn't part of the team. And so we go into the women's restroom, do our little session with the ghost box and such. And I'm thinking, well, one of the team should stay behind until everybody leaves the room. Somebody should be in the back of the trail or whatever you want to call it. And so I stayed behind in the women's room. I'm looking in the mirror and such. I think everybody's gone. I turn around and, there's somebody there, and I let out this really nice girly scream. Ah! And of course, the girl that stayed behind screamed because I'm screaming, this big ghost hunter that's supposed to be brave. So we're both,
right.
Ah! One of the members of the team comes running, what? I'm like, oh, God. So that
and
was another
you can explain that you're just looking at yourself and your teammate. That's cool.
But that factory, though, that had a lot of darkness to it as well. We got lulled into a sense of security being in the place multiple times, and last time we were there, it got pretty dark.
Oh,
It's great to go from
dark energy, or you think it was demon-like?
I don't want to say it was demon-like. I think it was just a pretty dark entity. Not
Dark
so
energy.
much demonic. Maybe a grumpy old soul. I don't know, but I wouldn't say demonic. Though then again, I look for 3 signs of possible demonic, and that's where you're on an investigation. You seem to get separation from everybody. That's one sign I look for. Sorry, it's been a while since I thought about these 3 things. Separation, a rise in emotions, like where everybody is getting either sad or angry or just emotionally out of character. And third is almost like disorientation, where it seems like everybody's just kind of a little disoriented and out of place. So I kind of look for those 3, and last night there, all 3 was happening.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been to the place several times with no trouble. That's why we felt it was safe to bring people there. And so the last night there, it just got pretty intense. And so I looked around. Generally, we don't have one person in control of the investigation per se. We all kind of rely on each other. We kind of deal with our own things. Like I'm generally helping with the cameras and things, and you know how that goes. But anyways, that night I happened to look around and I seen everything going on, and I was like, we need to stop this now. We just need to stop.
Wow.
And so we ended it there, and we offered a way for the place to be taken care of, to be cleared, and unfortunately, the person that was renting the place decided to distance himself from us.
Yeah, that's too bad.
He didn't really want it gone per se. He was enjoying the attention it was bringing him.
Well, of course. So since you were talking about that, I mean, you said the one lady had like scratches on her. Have you ever experienced like being pushed or shoved by a spirit or scratched?
I've been kind of not pushed. Another place we were here local used to be an old armory and military building, and we got comfortable with the place, and so we were there several times. And to make it kind of a shorter story, we had some other people there that wasn't part of the group, and so I have a hard time saying that I'm the leader of the group, but they kind of put me in that position a lot of times. And so that night I was kind of taking that position, and so it felt like something was attacking my knee, my left knee. I still have problems with that knee. It felt like something was in there kind of grinding on it and like stabbing, like I don't know how to describe it. It was pretty intense pain, but I was kind of crazy because of I was doing my best to stay in control because of I didn't want the people there for the first time experience paranormal to see somebody that supposedly experienced going through all this pain.
Right. Kind of seems like when you bring in a guest, it's when it happens more to you guys.
I was just thinking that. I was like,
no more
maybe
guests.
we shouldn't do that no more. But yeah, that night, I drive standard vehicle, and that night I was like moments from calling somebody to pick me up because I wasn't able to shift because my knee was hurting that bad.
Wow, that's crazy.
Our one member was performed Reiki, and she was using her energy to kind of help me feel a little better.
That's good.
Well, thanks for sharing that, guys.
Yeah.
Would you consider that your nope moment, or do you have one specifically that you can think of?
My what moment?
Your nope moment, like you walk in and you're like, no, I'm not doing that.
No, I never had that experience other than shutting down that investigation that night. When it just seemed like it was getting to be controlling everybody, that's when it was like, yeah, we're shutting down right now. Outside of that, I don't think I've ever said no. Now, the one thing that would be kind of questionable for me would be I've always been a little shy of doing insane asylums. I've never been to one, but I always felt that if they were not right in mind when they were alive, forgive me if that doesn't sound right, but if their thinking wasn't clear while they were alive, I can't imagine that if they're still hanging out there, that their thinking would be much better.
Kind of seems like if they're bad in life, they kind of get worse when they die.
Possibility. And like I said, I think if anything, thanks for sharing that, guys. But I think if anything, if they're still hanging out at that such sad location, they're not aware that they passed on, or they are very aware and there to cause trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, there's a saying, an asshole in life is an asshole in death.
I assume so. I mean, I'm hoping I'm still a jokester when I pass on. I feel bad for those I know, because that's just going to open up all kinds of possibilities.
It's kind of the way I look at it in life is, if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. If you're a good person, you're a good person.
Well, my mother said, if you're going to be an asshole, show both cheeks.
That's great.
You guys are like really pumping my information out. I have a goal on YouTube. I've been having a hard time hitting. I'm at 380 subscribers. I've been trying to hit that 500 mark.
Yeah, you gotta get that goal.
No, the only time that Marcus is scared is when the cops show up.
I was thinking that earlier.
And here he comes to say,
you guys didn't hear him. He was scared. He was scared at that little cemetery. I'm like, dude, they're little girls. Stop that. Don't grab me.
We got so.
All right, it took a minute, but it clicked. Yes, it makes me nervous when cops show up. Like, are we supposed to be here? Or are we breaking the rules? Like,
what the law is.
We went to Guernsey Hollow. It was close to Halloween a few years back, and once again, I brought a guest. I think I need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out. But technically, they don't really get after anybody until it's around Halloween, because that's when most of the vandalism comes around. But so we pulled up. There was a couple of us cars there, and it was dark, and the sheriffs pulled up, and they're like, lucky you weren't on the other side of that gate, because we would have got you for trespassing. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, we crossed state lines, and there's a couple of pistols and such in these cars. Let's hope things don't get too bad. You want to talk about being scared? We were scared that night. Because
ours was a Para-Karen in the middle of the day.
Have you ever had a Para-Karen on any of your investigations?
Oh, you're talking about somebody that doesn't quite enjoy you investigating?
Yep.
Who wants to tell the story?
I want to hear his first, but yeah, for sure.
Mine isn't much of a story. We went to a cemetery out in Erie, Pennsylvania, and that's called the Vampire Crypt is where we went to. And this woman wasn't too bad. We told her, hey, we're live. We try to tell everybody as they're coming up, hey, we're live. If you don't want to be on camera, please either let us know or leave or whatever. We try to be respectful.
Absolutely.
And she hesitated for a second, and then okay. But I wouldn't say she was a Karen. She just was very preachy, very, can I say prayers, saying, that kind of stuff, which is, we appreciate all the support, but she kind of overdid it. like we didn't have a lot of time, and she's there for like 10 minutes praying and telling us we shouldn't be doing stuff like that because of God and such. Then, I don't know a lot of scripture, but I do know a little to hold my own. And I explained about how there is instances where the apostles were kind of, speaking with spirits and such. And, you know, once you start talking about that, most of the time they're like, oh, so, but anyways, go ahead. I'm sure your story is a little better.
You gonna tell it, Marcus?
Well, basically, we're at this cemetery, like 3 hours away from home, and sitting down doing our little session at a couple different graves. And so Cara and Brandon were parked in front of the cemetery like this, as well as Rochelle and our lead investigator. And then I'm parked over on the side, kind of facing inward towards the cemetery. And all of a sudden, I think it was like a Toyota RAV4 or something, pulls in behind my car, blocks my car, gets out, comes over to the gate where we're sitting. We're a couple feet away from the gate, and basically she was part of the cemetery association. Whatever. No. For one, I'll get into it, but for one, she asked what we were doing there. I forgot we were cleaning up the cemetery, because we definitely were. You know, we were cleaning some graves off while we're doing our investigation. And we're doing basically research in this investigation, but we didn't tell her we were doing a paranormal investigation. But
it's none of her business.
Right.
Exactly. And she just stands there and watches, and until we get up and we walk away, and one of the members called the cops, because she called the cops. So she calls the cops and tells them that, yeah, okay, so it was Cara. And so go ahead.
Just because she actually she came over to she talked to Kendra first.
Yes.
And Kendra had told her that we were visiting family members' graves, and I'm like, no, never say that. Just tell the truth. Always tell the truth. And like, you know, when you're nervous, you just say stuff. But so she came over to the gate, and she's like, "What are you guys doing here?" And we're like, "We're just sitting down, you know, talking, and we were cleaning off some graves and such." And she's like, "Sure you were. What are you really doing here? Do you have any family members buried here?" And like asking, drilling us on questions. And I'm like, no, but does that matter? And she's like, "You guys shouldn't be here. You know how disrespectful it is for you to be here?" And like went off on me. And then I'm like, she's like, "You need to leave." And I'm like, "Well, we're not going to leave because, you know, the law says we can be here until dark." And she's like, "Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm calling the cops." And she stomped off.
I got a little backstory.
Well, and then she was on the restorative team, remember?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I say that, you know, I've always pictured if somebody came up to me like that, I'd say, you know, this is my 10th grandfather back Buford T. Justice's plot. And this, I am from a long lineage of well-respected individuals, and I don't appreciate you approaching me. Get all hoity-toity.
The funny thing is when the cop came out to the cemetery, he talks to her first, and then he comes in. He's like, "I watch videos like this on TikTok and this and that and all of that." He's like, "You guys have absolute permission to be here until dark. It's a public cemetery and all that." Then he goes back out and he talks to this Karen again, and she goes
rolled her window down and was like screaming at him.
At the cop,
right? And she goes as far as telling him to check Cara and Brandon's vehicle because they may have stolen a headstone.
Wow.
I'm like, I'm too chubby to pick up headstones. Like, you know,
because
that's not going to happen.
We're just going to put a 400-pound headstone in the back of our van.
They're not.
Here's the funny thing. Her being part of the cleanup crew or whatever she said she was.
Restorative.
Cemetery Association.
Yeah, right. That was the ridiculous part, because when we're leaving this investigation, we drive past her house. Her car is parked at this house. So she lived not even, 3 houses away?
Yeah.
So she probably chases people out there all the time trying to do what we do.
Probably.
Yeah. Yep. So when she said she was going to go call the cops, I'm like, okay, I will too. So I looked up where we were at, non-emergency number, and I called that. And I'm like, hey, there's this crazy lady that said that she's calling the cops, and they're like, yep, she's on 911 dispatch right now talking to them. And I'm like,
So she called the actual
yeah, she called
emergency
911 to deal with us.
Unreal.
Gotta love people.
And
Some of it,
literally, we were just out there cleaning up graves and stuff. Which reminds me, guys, something that I suggest for anybody who likes investigating cemeteries and stuff: get yourself a wire brush. Not, I don't know if it's wire, but make sure it's like metal. What's that?
I would say a heavy, like a good scrub brush. I wouldn't put metal on some of them.
brush.
Yeah, and the reason for that is you're gonna run into some tombstones or gravestones who you're gonna run into some gravestones that are like caked on cement. You can't see the name and all that kind of stuff, or even just what do you call it? Like
Moss and mold.
Moss and mold, yeah. So even taking a brush over it, scraping that off, that's going to help you with your investigation alone. But when you're in a cemetery, a polite thing to do, and you don't have to do it, but clean up some of the graves, you know? I'm sure the people would respect that. The families would respect that. They would appreciate it, you know? So
now let me play a little devil's advocate for this lady. And yeah, I'm not trying to stick up for her. But a lot of times people like that, maybe not quite that bad, but there's a lot of people that misunderstand what we do. And so they see us traipsing around cemeteries and things like that and think we're there just to cause trouble and such and conjure demons and cause all kinds of trouble. And so a lot of times people will approach when they feel brave enough, they'll approach with the thought that we're there to do harm as opposed to good. A lot of times if you calmly, if they're being calm, explain to them, you know, this is who we are, this is what we do. So you could get quite a bit further by trying to be, you know, informative than, you know,
right.
just
oh, I hear what you're saying, but she was like hostile, like before she even walked up to the fence.
Yeah, so when she came out, she was like, "What are you guys doing here?" Like, attitude right away. So, but we actually for the first first part of the conversation, I was trying to be respectful, and I was like, "We're just visiting, just cleaning off some graves." I was completely nice, and she just
Car was gonna get her.
Yeah, like I said, 80% of the time you can explain. There's times where people have their minds so made up it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Now that I'm thinking about this, I went to the little cemetery where the car was possessed sometime later, and one of the people that lived down there drove up in their tractor and it was like freaking out on me for a minute too. I just stood there and said, "Okay, I'll be here." You know,
right.
He's like, "You need to leave now." I was like, "No, I'm not leaving."
Right.
And he got mad. He drove off. He kind of sat down the road in his tractor for a minute, glaring. I'm like, okay. But once again, in same similar situation, they approached with that hostility. I mean, most of the time you could tell the intentions of people just being a little nervous as opposed to people that just are there to cause headaches. Because I'm pretty sure the one that came up with the tractor, one of the first times that we were in this place, this little cemetery, we've been there several times. His wife came down like a couple months before that, was all about nice and, hey, oh, this is pretty cool. Hey, yeah, I'll check out your channel. And, you know, so even the same households could have different views of things.
Exactly. Absolutely.
This lady was like taking pictures of our license plates and hitting the gas going backwards on the road.
Almost hit one of the investigators' cars.
Yep.
Oh,
He
nice.
almost hit in a cold car too.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I took my phone out and pretended to take her picture, and she like gets all huffy, puts her phone in her pocket, and runs back to her car.
So, but I'm afraid, guys, that we are gonna have to wrap it up here because we have another show in 30 minutes. Which, Scott, you're more than welcome to come join us over there.
I appreciate that, but I think I'm heading towards the pillow.
I'd love to head towards the pillow.
Oh, well, I'm a little slightly ahead of time. You guys are talking into the future right now.
Right.
But
So as usual, we're gonna end the show right this time with this. The spirited question. So Scott, the spirited question. We pull. I know. So we pull questions off the internet that people are curious about the paranormal field, and beyond. And we like to get our guests and our team's opinion on that. And I would really like to know from you, are some people more receptive to a ghost than others?
you mean as individuals?
Basically, yes.
That could be answered on so many levels.
Yes.
The very cut and dry answer is yes. Now, I believe it based off of how you're raised, where you're raised, type of religion you grew up in as opposed to others. I mean, that's such a deep question. It can be as deep as you want it, though. So, but basically, I believe if you were never truly told no, that such thing doesn't exist, you're going to be more receptive.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's my answer.
Perfect. Cara, Brandon, what do you think?
I think it varies from person to person, like he was saying. I mean,
I think mood is another thing. Mental health status. If you walk into an investigation and you're in a really bad mood, you're depressed, you have emotions that you didn't clear your head and you didn't, let go of that stuff before you start out. I think that they can, affect you more. They can target you because you're vulnerable.
Right.
Time of year around Halloween as well.
Yes, absolutely. What about you, Rochelle? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It varies from person to person. My mom is the one who gave me my so-called gift, and she thinks I'm nuts. And I'm like, listen, I got it from you, crazy lady. So, and I finally asked my oldest, I said, can you do this stuff? And he's like, no. So he can't, my youngest can. So it's kind of weird. And even like family members, just, and then like you said, time of year and your state of mind, everything.
Absolutely. Well,
I think another thing is I think they will actually pick, like one investigator out of a team, and they'll like actually try to communicate with that person.
Whoever they feel is most open. That's why mediums are really helpful.
Right, exactly. And my thought on it is, I think it's the approach that you take on the investigation. If you walk in with a chip on your shoulder, the spirit's gonna have a chip on its shoulder, and it's gonna be, get the hell out of my house. I don't want you here. But I think if you approach the spirit with a positive attitude, then the outcome of the responses is going to be a little bit better. It's going to be a little more safer. Because, guys, I'm just going to say, working in the paranormal field is not a safe job. You never know what's going to happen, so you always want to carry proper protection, and you want to know what you're doing. I'm not saying you have to be experienced, but you want to at least know a little knowledge about what you're doing, and know your approach before you get started. Because I think it all depends on the approach that you take, and the approach that you get back is all depending on you. So yeah, that kind of ties in with the person-to-person thing.
I agree with her too. Ashley Hale. It reminds me of like me and Rochelle at the Boyd House. When whoever takes the time in that aspect, whoever took the time to calm down, be quiet, learn why they're upset, they're more likely to talk to them than they are people that don't mesh with their personality, so to speak.
Yes, absolutely. Perfect. All right, guys. Well, we are at the end of our show, but don't worry. You get another dose of Minnesota Spirit Cast here in about 25 minutes or so. But Scott, it has been an absolute pleasure. As always, we love to have you back on again. Hit us up. We'll get you back on the schedule whenever you want to come back on. But you're a great guest, and remember what I said, that you're a big part of the paranormal field.
Thank you. I'm humbled by your words.
Absolutely, man.
You going to be checking out my next couple lives?
Absolutely.
October 29th and November 5th. There's two big ones for my team.
Oh, I'll be there. Trust me. I'll be watching.
Carnegie, Library of Homestead, PA. A huge library. That's October 29th. Huge library. That's going to be 2 teams investigating that. And then another November 5th is a place called Library Theater. Warren, a big old playhouse. Huge building, multiple floors, multiple sightings. So I'm hoping my thoughts, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, and it's something that I was going to speak with you guys eventually anyways, is have you guys kind of check in and kind of watch a little bit and kind of see if you guys see anything from other professional teams seeing stuff.
Absolutely. Perfect.
And then, I think Matt is going to help me stream it so you guys can jump on and say, hey, I just seen this,
Okay.
So that's the thought. And that's
virtual investigating. Can't go wrong with that. You can't go wrong with any kind of investigating. Well, Scott, you've been an amazing guest. Like I said, if you're not hitting the pillow quite yet, head on over to the Open Podcast. The discussion tonight is orbs and all the different kinds. So we're going to have a blast over there. But we're going to give everybody about a 20-minute break here before we go back on live. Scott, it's been a pleasure. As always, love to have you back on again. But if you don't come on the show that we're about to start here, have a good night. Thank you for joining. We appreciate everything you do.
Good night, guys. Very nice seeing you all. Much love to everybody in the crowd. And
I got you.
You guys.
So, all right. Well, you have a good night. We'll catch you later.
Good night, guys.
All right. Sorry. All right, guys. Well, I will see you guys over at the Open Podcast. It's going to be a blast. And thank you guys for the show tonight.
See you later.
See you soon. Bye. Well, everybody go down below or in the comments here. Check out the WASP links for Scott. Amazing investigator. Amazing team. And you're not going to be disappointed. Check out the Global Ghost Hunt 2-week event. May and October 2023. 10 days, full team support, full location support. Check out our sponsor, DeesCoast.com, for all of your equipment. Use code MNSH to get 10% off. And then check out our sponsor, Paranormal Consultant, as well as our supporters, the PARALANX Plus. I'm drawing a blank here. PARAPOST Network, and all of the above. So we appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys here in just a few minutes. But as always, remember, happy hunting.
Big up to this crew here. We like to keep it positive, you know how we do. Big up to this crew. From day one till it's done, do or die, me and you. Big up to this crew. Yeah, we like to keep it positive, you know how we do. Big up to this crew. Got props non-stop and mad love for you. Rising up like the moon, elevating the mood, uplifting attitudes, cause that's what we choose to do. And I don't know about you, but there's enough negativity going around with plenty room to improve. Yeah, sometimes we collide with stress and negativity. We always let it slide. It's an elevated vibe, so fly. We touch the sky every time we ride. Big up to this crew here. We like to keep it positive, you know how we do. Big up to this crew. From day one till it's done, do or die, me and you. Big up to this crew. Yeah, we like to keep it positive, you know how we do. Big up to this crew. Got props non-stop and mad love for you. Now roll back time, tell me what you find. You're gonna see the same sucker MCs on the sidelines. In the fourth quarter when it's do or die time. That's when this crew is inclined to go prime time. From day one straight till it's done. But you all know full well that we only just begun. Yeah. We stick together, one for all for one. When it gets heavy, no, we don't cut and run. Crazy thinking about the places that we've been. Now I could tell you stories that'll make your head spin. But like I said, straight, thick or thin, there's so many memories